Anyway, let's see what Rosanna Pansino has to say. If you guys don't know, she's the one that whistleblowed a few months back saying that the MrBeast video that she participated in, she finished top 3, but they edited her out of top 3 so they could have Logan Paul there instead. So she kind of called them out for being rigged back then. Unfortunately, no one listened to her. They all kind of like was saying that she did it for clout and she's weak, and of course he's gonna edit his videos. And but now she's kind of vindicated. Now she's like coming out every day with new videos. She's speaking against MrBeast, and she says that she has a lot of people around her that have reported her that they feel like they're being followed or they're getting weird messages and calls from, and apparently like the MrBeast team, or so they're claiming, that they hired people to investigate them or, you know, look for information on them. It's so weird.
I'm sure most of you have seen that there's been a lot of news coming out about MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson, some of his employees, and his, in my opinion, terrible business practices, some of which I've seen honestly may be illegal. There are a lot of really good videos about this topic that have been coming out in the last few days on YouTube, so I highly encourage everyone to go and watch some of them. Also, I have some more updates and stories from the Beast games, which I will continue to talk about. They are filming the beginning of part 2 of that series in just a few days, and I am still very concerned about the contestants' well-being. So if you're competing in the Beast games, please be aware of what's going on around you. The rumors I'm hearing is that they're still essentially hiring almost all new people to work on the set of Beast games, which if you ask me is not enough time to adequately prepare everything safely for the next phase. Which brings me to why I'm making this particular video. A very concerning document was sent to me who says that this is an internal employee manual written by MrBeast Jimmy himself.
Wait, that's funny because that boys club comment that you're mentioning here is also exactly what was like. I was like, is she just being like weird about it?
I confirm the legitimacy of this document with 2 former MrBeast employees. I think that this gives you a little insight to the type of person Jimmy really is. He lays out what he expects from his employees in great detail. To me, the mask has begun to slip, and it truly is a small look into the mind of the Beast. One last thing that I'd like to point out is that this is a document that Jimmy expected people to read. If I had to guess, I'd say he's even having to filter himself in this document. Yeesh. I'm gonna be posting the full text on my Twitter, and I highly recommend you download it and take a look for yourself. It's long, it's 36 pages. We'd be here for 10 hours if I tried to read the entire thing because I'm a slow reader, so I'll just be reading some of the—
Dude, MrBeast is the Niji Sanji of the IRL world. The IRL internet world. Every day there's something new that's coming out. There's documents being leaked and stuff. That's crazy.
The more concerning parts. Okay. The title of this document is How to Succeed in MrBeast Production. I'm gonna start on page 4, a section he titles, I Only Want A Players. As I type this, I realize it may not be the wisest to categorize everyone into 3 buckets. But this is how I believe we should look at everyone a part of the production team. So basically, he already knows what he's about to say is inappropriate, but he can't help himself from doing it and saying it. You're either an A player, B player, or C player. There is only room at this company for A players. A players are obsessive, learn from mistakes, coachable, intelligent, don't make excuses, believe in YouTube, see the value of this company, and are the best in the goddamn world at their job. B players are new people that need to be trained into A players, and C players are just average employees. They don't suck, but they aren't exceptional at what they do.
That's so funny. So I feel like every company wants an A player, right? But no one just says it outright like this, especially in such crude words. I feel like this has been written by like a red pill person. But do I think it's the biggest deal? Probably not. It's just, it's so crude. I don't know if it's the best way. Everybody wants that kind of employee. Like, even they always tell you that there's a type A personality and a type B And a type A personality is the kind of employee you want. It's like normal, but I think a lot of HR departments have learned that there's better way to communicate that with your employees that are more tactful and will, you know, that you want to make the environment a good one to work in, and people will want to work better. I think he's on to something. I'm a C player. Well, I thought you guys had to be C players. I told you, you know, when you first start a new job, just start sucking and then improve really quickly and everybody will be so impressed.
As he's saying, they don't suck, but they aren't exceptional. He misspells aren't. The hypocrisy. Let's move on. They just exist, do whatever, and get a paycheck. They aren't obsessive, aren't spelled wrong again. C players are poisonous and should be transitioned to a different company immediately, all caps. It's okay, we give everyone severance, so they'll be fine. I don't even know where to begin with this because he essentially is putting everyone into a system, and he definitely plays favorites at his company. Anyone he considers an A person, those are his close friends who behave exactly the way he wants to behave, and then everyone else is treated less than. And
there's no way. Did he actually write that himself? There's no way, right? It's like $1 million company. Surely he had somebody else write it, and it was like a dude that spent his whole life on social media and that does not know how to spell. Maybe. A player sounds like mom's friend's son. You know that guy mom always says got a nice job, earn. I hated that. I hated when my parents did that. I was always the loser. Did anyone proofread this?
Everyday person who goes to your job on time, does your job, stays the full hours, gives it your all, and then goes home and has a normal life, like a work balance life that's healthy. That is considered a C player. That is considered unacceptable in his eyes. That is considered poisonous in his eyes. Anyone who has a healthy work-life balance relationship is poisonous. All right, moving on. On to page 17, own your mistakes.
I watch like a lot of corporate videos and videos on like the job market. And I think it's true though, what he's saying, that the bad employees will make the rest of the team like work lazier or less efficient. Severance does not make it fine, trust me. Yeah, no, of course not.
This coming from Jimmy, someone who has never owned his mistakes, never taken accountability, and never apologized for any of his poor behavior. He pays someone, a PR team, a spokesperson, and now a crisis management team to speak on his behalf. He never apologizes or takes accountability for anything. This is so hard for me to read because the hypocrisy is so strong. I hate excuses and despise with my entire soul when people just try to save face instead of learn from how they've messed up. Mistakes are okay. Genuinely, they are, and I expect you to make a lot. That's perfectly fine. Every veteran here has cost me $1 million at one point or another, and you can go ask them yourselves if I've ever held it over their heads. I'm sure you never hold it over their heads. I'm sure you never bring it up again. You don't mention it again. You don't write it in an employee handbook. And now that Jimmy's brought it up, I just want to ask the question, are there any veterans out there who have worked for Jimmy where you feel like he has held things over your head? Let me know, my DMs are open. The reason I'm okay with f***ups is because I know that's how you learn. I see it as me investing in you and your brain. Parentheses, hence why I have zero tolerance for C players and they must go immediately. Those fuck-ups could be done by an A player that will retain the information learned. Again, to my point, he plays favorites. If you're one of his favorites, you can fuck up as much as you want and there's no repercussions. But if you're not one of his favorites, if you're not on his good side, you fuck up and you're gone. I just beg you that you learn from every mistake and try not to repeat it. That's when it gets annoying. The hypocrisy. Jimmy, you don't even learn from your mistakes. I've never, ever, ever once fired someone on the spot for messing up. You have nothing to be afraid of.
On the spot? Wait, what does it mean? You could fire him after.
Own so we can address how to fix it and then move on. I like that he's boosting about how much self-control he has, that he's never, ever, ever fired someone on the spot for making a mistake. What a great guy. And I have confirmation that instead he has his mom fire them the next day. Wonderful self-control. Page 18, nothing comes before your priorities. When you're being assigned tasks, you should have what I call a prio list. If Ali says your prios are to 1. Get a Lamborghini under 200K. 2. Get it wrapped in anime characters. 3. Make a custom steering wheel. Then nothing on this freaking planet is allowed to come between you and getting those priorities done. If the other team asks for your help and you spend 2 days helping them and fall behind on getting your Lamborghini secured, that's your fault. If the studio is burning down and you stop working to put out the fire and don't get the Lamborghini, that's your fault. Parentheses, jokes, ha ha ha. But seriously, don't let anything come before your prios.
Okay, well, it was a joke at least.
I'm just gonna read that again for anyone who is missing this. If the studio is burning down and you stop working to put out the fire and you don't—
Why is this a handbook? I feel it's all just expected. At least if you're working in showbiz, that's literally, that's expected. And most of the people that want to work in those jobs, they're kind of down for that kind of on-the-go lifestyle. It's a very similar lifestyle to somebody that works in restaurants. Like, a lot of people that work in restaurants have told me that they also do production jobs like that or behind the scene work like that. Just, you never know when you're gonna go home. It's always long days and it's always like on the go, 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 go.
Don't get—
This lady seems entitled and a drama monger. She really doesn't like MrBeast. I told you guys a little bit about the backstory, but now it seems like she really hates him since the last time I've seen her talk about him. And it seems like she's probably getting like a lot of attention from all of this, so she's really boosting it. I'll give my thoughts on this later. So far, I don't think it's a big deal. It's just really interesting. I can't help but laughing at how silly it all is.
Get the Lamborghini. That's your fault. That's wrong. This is psychotic. This is dangerous. He's literally saying that the company culture is, if the studio with employees is burning down,
he's doing
you
a
should
joke.
not go help and save.
Okay, I disagree with her LARPing on that. It literally says it's a joke next to it.
Save their lives. You should go wrap that car with anime characters. That is the #1 priority. This way of thinking is psychotic. This is dangerous. It is absolutely unacceptable. Which rolls us right into page 19. No does not mean no. For the people out there who are saying he's not edgy.
Dogpack's already shown that part in his video. Rima, your props are #1. Get me a Lamborghini. 2, cover it in horse stickers, and 3 bobas. All right, I can do that, but I'm gonna need $1 million, Charlie. Lamborghinis ain't cheap
Anymore. He's learned this document is pretty new and references some of his newer videos. He has not learned. This is who he is. So the title No Does Not Mean No is a very obvious reference to essay. Instead of communicating in a professional manner, saying be persistent when you're producing or working,
Yeah.
no does not mean no is the company culture of MrBeast. When dealing with people outside MrBeast Productions, never take—
The problem with this is that it is an attack on his image, and the way MrBeast is being painted right now is like these bro guys. A lot of YouTubers are like that, like the always flexing their money, and you know, they're gonna go pop bottles at the club, and it's just very cringe. It's extremely cringe. Yeah, I don't think anybody expects that they're gonna let the studio burn down. I feel she's taking a joke statement and saying it like it's a serious statement. Not too keen on that presentation. First that order booba first. That makes more sense now, Charlie.
No at face value. If we need a store to buy everything inside and you call the local Dollar Tree and the person that answers says, no, you can't film here, that literally doesn't mean Talk to other employees and see if any are fans or if any have kids that are fans. Try talking to their boss's boss. Have me DM them on Twitter and try their social team, etc. If all the other avenues are exhausted and you are left with a no, that doesn't mean don't try the other Dollar Trees, because the manager of those could be huge fans and willing to bend the rules. This is literally so disgusting because this is putting everyday working people's jobs at stake. If it's a company policy not to film there and you're pressuring them to do so, they could get in trouble. They could lose their jobs. That's their income, that's their livelihood. And for what, a YouTube video? You are not more important than any other person in this world. Basically, what I'm trying to convey is what we call pushing through no. Don't just stop because one person told you no. Stop when all conceivable options are exhausted. This is one of the many
she's at first, the first time when I read the title and I saw it in Docpack video, my first thought was what she said, that, oh, they're trying to insinuate that you should film there even though you're not allowed to. And I was like, that is scummy, but that's not what he's saying, even though it's not written really well. He's actually saying, like, ask other people and, you know, exhaust all resources, and only then you can find a new location. That makes more sense. Why does this... I feel like he wrote this on his iPhone notepad on his way in his Lamborghini to his next shoot location or something. This is so rushed.
Tools that, when combined dramatically, improve your probability of success when producing here. This is more the Jimmy I know, someone who uses their money, power, and fame to bully other people into positions that they don't feel comfortable with, that they could get in trouble for, they could lose their jobs, and lose their ability to make income for their family. Next section, work on multiple videos every day. Please do not come in and only work on one video during a workday. That's how you fall behind on future videos and create a nasty cycle that I'm trying to stop. If you drop everything and go all in on one video for 3 days, then that's 3 days your other videos will fall behind, and eventually you'll have to drop other videos to focus on those videos, and it will snowball into you can't do anything but focus on what's right in front of you because you've murdered any lead time you had. If you ever only work...
That is a 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4.5 sentence without any punctuation. English isn't my first language, but goddamn, like sometimes in video scripts you try to fit in as much as information as possible in like a short amount of time, especially in the style of script that I do, which is always like and you just keep on chaining sentences because you want the pace to move fast. But this isn't the script. It's meant to be spoken, not read.
On one video during the day, you failed as a MrBeast employee that day. Wow, what a fun boss. Jimmy, this just sounds like people are overworked and you're hiring people who are drowning in work. I think there are some circumstances where you should be just focusing on one thing a day, like safety, having a safety director where that's all they do. That's their job. That's how professional sets are ran. All right, so here's a section with a bunch of random Jimmy thoughts. It's called Random Things You Should Know, page 23. Let's read a few of them. Do not leave contestants waiting in the sun, parentheses, ideally waiting...
What is that contestants?
In general, for more than 3 hours. Squid Games, it cost us $500,000, and Boys vs. Girls, it got a lot of people out. Ask James to know more.
What?
Well, have I got stories about people you kept out in the sun for days. We'll come back to that later. Also, when he says, ask James...
What was that cryptic message? Squid Game, it cost us 500,000. I assume the damages to the contestants and or like care because of what happened. And Boys versus Girls, it got a lot of people out, so out of the game because they were in the sun for too long. That is
James to know more.
Ask James to know more because they don't want to put it in writing.
Well, have I got stories about people you kept out in the sun for days. We'll come back to that later. Also, when he says, ask James to know more, he's referring to an employee called James Warren. You'll probably be hearing this name a lot more in the future, and I'll be covering stories involving him as well. Here's another thought. I'd rather you be honest with each other than nice to each other. I also believe in honesty. I'm a big fan of it, but did you know you can be honest and respectful at the same time? You don't have to be honest and mean to someone.
True.
You can do both. Again, the hypocrisy. Jimmy cannot take honesty. He can't take honest criticism. He can't take honest feedback. And if you are honest with him while working at his company, you will most likely be fired. This next random thing you should know
if I'm working with somebody, I want them to do their job well first. And then, like, I also want them to be nice and vice versa. So it's, you can have both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Is why I have said that Jimmy plays favorites and he truly cultivates a boys club, his favorite boys. Do not talk down to talent or do anything to make them feel like I need them to be happy and in good moods, and those boys are special to me. Ideally, most talks with talent, parentheses, Chris, Carl, Chandler, and Nolan, go through me, or Ollie, or Tyler to avoid confusion amongst them. Another thought, we pivot a lot. Be ready to have everything flipped on its head at a moment's notice.
Lol.
Well, as someone who's worked on many professional sets, to some degree, this can be true. Especially on location, you can run into factors that you didn't plan for correctly and you weren't prepared for. The ability to adapt and make changes on set is important as little problems arise, but however, when it comes to people's safety, like on the Beast games, you can't just make changes last minute on the fly at a production scale that large with that many people and have it be okay. And I've been talking to members of the crew who said that they were making changes minutes before some of these dangerous challenges, and they were scared people were gonna get hurt, and they did. Oh, here's a great one. I want money spent to be shown on camera, ideally. If you're spending over $10,000 on something and it won't be shown on camera, seriously think about it. And this is why so many people say that he only does charity for camera, because if he can't film it, he doesn't want to do it. Pull all-nighter.
What do you guys think about the charity thing? Because I'm like, well, yes, it's for content, but the only way he makes money for his videos is if his videos are entertaining in the first place. And at the same time, he is doing something good, like the receiver of that money is getting free things or money. But some other people say that charity in the form of, under a broadcast or for content is not the same. For sure, it's not the same as selfless charity. Still a pretty good deal, no? Well, of course, charity is no excuse for doing bad crap to people, but that's not really my question. It's more so, I'm talking more in the sense where no one gets hurt. I'm strictly talking about the receiver of the charity and MrBeast. She's going about this very dishonestly. There's a lot of half-truths, cherry picking, a lot of word twisting going on in her interpretation. I agree. I'm not too keen on her presentation so far. Does Rima like honesty, or should we pamper you with nice compliments? Why do they have to be two separate things? What do you mean? As long as the charity doesn't have to give it back or do something in return. Yeah, I think that something in return is probably important there. If it's a contest and people are participating to win the prize, I don't consider this charity, by the way, or at least not in this theory. Like if the other people have to do something for it, or if there's a chance at them winning it, that's not a charity, that's a contest or a game show.
Weeks before the shoot, so you don't have to days before the shoot. If you planned with adequate time, preparation, and staff, your staff wouldn't have to be doing all-nighters. Also, the way he's worded it is that there's gonna be all-nighters no matter what. So it's either days before the shoot or weeks before. So he's encouraging people, don't sleep weeks before the shoot. And remember, you have to be working on multiple videos at the same time. It pretty much sounds to me like you guys are always pulling all-nighters and you're heavily overworked. Here's the last Jimmy thought I'm gonna read. Never do anything that can make us look bad from a PR perspective. Jimmy only cares about his image, and Jimmy can also not follow his own advice. If you download the document and read through it, they mention multiple
The way this document is written is a PR disaster in itself.
Times how important their PR image is, but not once in the entire document do they ever reference doing the right thing. Page 28. The longer people watch, the better a video will do. This is why I'm such a stickler about every single second of content. I wanted to pause and point this out because I see a lot of people, Jimmy fans, leaving comments saying, well, Jimmy didn't do that, his editors did this. And I want it to be very clear that Jimmy approves every single second of footage that goes onto his YouTube channel. He is obsessive, he is extremely involved, and nothing goes onto his channel without his approval. I've confirmed this with people who work on Jimmy's videos, and he has literally confirmed this in a document. On page 31, I wanted to point this out because Jimmy is very aware of his demographic and who his audience is. It's very strategic, it's pointed. He says, but despite saying,
if I received this doc, I would look for another job. Yeah, it doesn't look like the kind of job you can start by sucking, huh?
That at its core, if I had to describe it, I'd say the average MrBeast viewer is a teenage memer that likes video games. I'd like you to keep this in mind as more news comes out and unfolds. He is very aware that his audience is youth. Page 34, it's okay for the boys to be childish. It's okay for boys to be boys. The boys club is back, and here we are. If talent, he's referring to his best.
She really has a problem with the boys club.
Best friends, wants to draw a dick on the whiteboard in a video or do something stupid, let them. Parentheses, assuming they know all the risks and aren't missing contacts on why it's not safe.
Yeah, that's a good parenthesis, right? Are we agreeing on that?
People like when we are in our natural element of stupidity. Really do everything you can to empower the boys when filming and help them make content. Help them be idiots. This just shows the culture that he is intentionally building. He plays favorites, there is a boys club, and they are allowed to do things that other people...
How much of MrBeast's audience do you guys think are women? I don't think it's necessarily a boys club, but his videos appeal to boys, if that makes sense. Like, I certainly do not see myself watching a video. I don't see somebody like Rosanna, watch one of his videos, so it's a little bit, it's like this content's not for you or me, so it's a bit disingenuous to judge it like it is. You know what I mean? It's for children. Exactly.
Page 35. I want famous people in our videos.
Okay.
Next line.
That's fine,
I can't even read this. We don't fake things. The absolute delusion. Yes, you do, Jimmy. The majority of all your videos are faked. And yes, there is a range of the authenticity. Some of the videos do have some authenticity to them, but overall, they are fake. Creator Games 3 was not authentic. Logan Paul did not place second. You can't fake intensity in videos. Really? Really, Jimmy? What's this?
We literally found him 1 minute before Zach.
We literally found Logan Paul. That never happened. Fake. The document ends with talking about your career at MrBeast. If you've made it this far, you're probably at least semi-interested in this being your career. So I wanted to chat about it. Because if you're ambitious and want to dedicate your life to work, you pick the best company in America to do it at. The delusion. I would love to see the benefits of the best company in America. I would love to see the policies about your maternity leave, paternity leave, paid time off, which it doesn't seem like working for you.
I mean, if you're applying at MrBeast and you're reading this document, by the end of it, you're probably like, yeah, fuck yeah, sign me in, coach. There's a certain danger with the boys club attitude at the workplace, referred to Blizzard. Oh God, what a mess.
Is encouraged ever. And from what I'm hearing, you don't even like people taking holidays off, such as Christmas. This sounds like the worst company to work for in America to me. If you want to become a production manager, tell James your intention and ask him why you suck and how you can become better. Seriously, he will give you a list of things that you need to improve to become what we need, and if you actually listen and master those things, we will give you a shot at the role. Parentheses, only problem is most people think they are better than they really are and don't take seriously when we give them things to improve and then wonder why they never move up. I actually agree with Jimmy here. I do think that some people think that they're better than they are and that they don't take things seriously to improve. This isn't a stepping stone. This is your final destination.
It's pretty morbid.
All I can think about are the horror films, so moving forward. Now, read this all over again because I guarantee you didn't retain enough. I literally love that he ends his document by getting in one more jab to the new employees who are reading through this. Now read it again because I guarantee that you're an idiot. Read it again because I guarantee you couldn't retain something. Like just throwing an insult in there and talking down to people. A lot of people can read something and retain it. Projection much? All of that just barely scratches the surface of what's in here, so I will be posting the whole thing on my Twitter, so if you'd like to read through it, you can. To me, working for MrBeast sounds very toxic and dangerous. It's a boys' club where everyone is overworked. It is almost cult-like. It's someone who cares about the work and not about the people. To end the video, I wanted to read some quotes, excerpts from an article written by the Rolling Stones and a journalist who visited Jimmy in person at his company in North Carolina. I'll be posting the link to the article down below if you'd like to read the entire thing. Quote, Donaldson says he doesn't give a fuck about money and plans to give it all away before he dies.
When was that article written? Is it recent?
Quote, I don't want to live my life chasing the next shiny object to the next shiny object. He says this as we drive around in his Tesla Model X. This is the journalist pointing out the
I don't know anything about cars.
Hypocrisy. It's a sad, miserable way to go about life. I agree with you, Jimmy. It is. His assistant, a model handsome Utah transplant named Steele, says that prior to his hiring and Donaldson's ex-girlfriend redesigning his kitchen, YouTube's biggest star had lawn chairs in his living room and mattresses on the floor. I don't give a shit about looks, Donaldson says. I just care about functionality. Yet he also seems to be fixated on how much some shiny objects cost, pointing out that his custom-built double-sided refrigerator, which he had made so his chef could deliver meals from the outside without disturbing him, was 50 grand to install. So he literally paid $50,000 so that he wouldn't have to see his private chef deliver some meals to him. Perhaps the greatest threat to MrBeast's family-friendly brand was in 2021 investigation by the New York Times that quoted several former employees alleging that Donaldson had fostered a toxic work environment, screaming at workers, forcing them to work long hours, and calling them slurs. Two of the former MrBeast editors who spoke out against it.
Wait, when did this come out? The custom-made fridge idea is actually banger. He made his chef like Uber Eats his meals, and he just puts it in the other side of the fridge from outside, I guess.
Nate Anderson and Matt Turner deleted the videos they'd posted about their experiences because of the harassment they got from MrBeast fans. Direct quote from MrBeast. Jimmy, I want to be the biggest YouTube channel ever, he says. Not even for my ego. I don't know, I just want it. It gives me something to strive for, to get out of bed and grind for. But it's also just vanity, which is ego. I wanted to read this section of the article because I noticed online that a lot of MrBeast fans are harassing MrBeast's ex-girlfriend, Maddie. I thought this would be interesting for you guys to hear. This article came out after they split up. He recently split from lifestyle influencer Maddie, who has appeared in a handful of his videos. And those in his circle told me that Maddie had been a positive influence, forcing Donaldson to prioritize work-life balance more. Donaldson did not want to comment on the record about the breakup, yet Tyson, which is Chris David Tyson, who is his best friend for his entire life and roommate, yet Tyson says Donaldson's singular focus on work was a major contributing factor. Quote, I think that's what he's going to be looking for next. Someone who can match his obsession with business and money, all that kind of stuff. Now, normally when—
Well, I mean, is that anything new? My image of MrBeast is that he was always laser focused on his goal, which was to be the biggest YouTube channel in the world. He's always wanted to do that.
When you have a breakup, your best friends are the first people to villainize an ex. But that is not what happened in this situation. His best friends are saying that she had a positive influence in his life. She helped him have a more healthy and normal work-life balance. They have all said positive things about her. She's a sweetheart. For today's video, I just want to read one last section from the Rolling Stones article. The one word that those in Donaldson's orbit used to describe him is obsessive. He has a tendency to fixate on one thing at the expense of all other subjects. There's a 5-year point of my life where I just relentlessly, unhealthily obsessed with studying virality, studying the YouTube algorithm, he says. I woke up, I would Uber Eats food, and then I would sit on my computer all day just studying non-stop with other YouTubers. There was also a Settlers of Catan phase that's led to Donaldson's assistant buying at least 5 copies of the strategy game a month, so there'd always be fresh ones lying around. Donaldson relishes the strategy and machinations it demands, deadpanning. I'm great at lying. Deadpanning to the journalist, quote, I'm great at lying.
What is this Settler game? Is this a video game? Yeah, I feel like a lot of this was kind of a nothing burger. Yeah, he's a businessman. That might be something you don't like, might be something you like. Some people are like that. Some people have ambition. Some people find other ways to be happy in life. Should he treat people the way he did because he has ambition at the cost of it? Probably not, from morality. But just having ambition on its own, that's not something that I condemn. It just sounds like your average big YouTuber, more like your average big corpo person, whatever you call this. He seems pretty obsessed with money and shiny objects. He thinks it gives him a lot of worth, which is pretty tacky.